And we are live. It's Newsday Tuesday. How you doing, then, my friend?
Doing all right, Rome. How are you?
I'm doing good. The ball's rolling.
It's like it's tough tonight. This is the first night without football in 3 nights. I mean, if you watch college too, and if you include Thursday night, I mean, you had Thursday, Friday, pros. Saturday was college. I was watching Coach Prime, of course, and then yesterday there was every game under the sun, or Sunday, and then last night you had the Niners and the Jets. Aaron Rodgers couldn't do it. I'm not sad, but yeah, so it's tonight's the quiet night. You got baseball still, right?
Yeah, lots of baseball going
You can
on.
watch the debate if you really want. I mean, that won't matter when your listeners hear this, but that will be days later. But it's glorious having football.
Right. Then TV have like over 10 million people watching or something like that.
What's that? The debate or the football?
Football.
Oh yeah, football's going to have many more than the debate. Everybody should be watching the debate too. But it's yeah, football. It's a fun start to the season. You know, the game one games are always a little funny. Um, I'm a long suffering Giants fan, so I have nothing to say really. We're just not good. Um, I think we need a new quarterback. That's you know, I've
Oh,
given up on Daniel Jones. I just have.
you're done.
Yeah, Rome. I was hoping that I know he was coming back from ACL surgery, but so have I. And I wasn't expecting him to be mobile, but I was expecting him to be more aware of his surroundings. And he just looked like a deer in the headlights. I mean, Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator for Minnesota, drew up a fantastic game plan and had everybody perplexed. But I mean, my gosh, Rome, dude, this guy's been the quarterback for 6 years now. This is his sixth season. It's like he looked like a rookie. He looked like he hadn't practiced all summer, which he hadn't. I mean, scrimmaged.
You could tell.
So, there's a lot of stuff here. I mean, a lot of it's not just the Giants. A lot of it has to do with, um, preseason. They don't want to do it because they don't want to get hurt. But then if you don't do it, then you look rusty like a lot of teams did yesterday. So the first two games, what if you just dropped $1,000 a coin to have you and the missus go to the game, get a limo, get a nice seat, and it's game one or game two when they're still practicing? I think you'd be pretty annoyed.
Oh yeah.
So, but I still love it. No complaints, man. This is the best time of the year if you're a sports fan. You got football, you got baseball, you got hockey and hockey and basketball coming up soon. You got soccer. What do you want?
Everything's going on now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's awesome.
Right. So movie of the week. I picked Beverly Hills Cop. It's a new movie with Eddie Murphy.
How do you like it?
It's all right. It's not as good as the original one though.
That is a high bar, but
Yeah.
you're right. I'm sure. I mean, even though it has Eddie Murphy in it, right?
Yeah.
But nobody else from the original one?
Nah. I like the original one better though.
Yeah, yeah. For my what I'm watching, it's not a movie again. It's a takeoff on a movie. It's Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. It's a series. I think it's on Netflix. It's quite good.
Oh, it's a series. I bet you it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's doing really well in the ratings too. Not that it's not an NBC product, but it's still doing well in the.
Food dish. I gotta go with steak and white rice.
I'm coming off Memorial or off Labor Day, and anything involving the grill, two thumbs point at this guy. I'm totally about that. And so for mine, it just happens to be bratwurst. I was at the Yard Goats game on Sunday, and I got one for my buddy and I, and a little bit of sauerkraut and mustard. You're just living.
Real good.
Yeah.
And my sports team for the week is the Cardinals. I gotta go with.
St. Louis.
Yeah,
Baseball or football?
baseball.
Really? So what's up with the St. Louis Cardinals? Are they surging?
I always been a fan of the Cardinals for some reason, but I know they recently played the Yankees. They beat the Yankees, and I think they beat the Braves too, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I'm a Braves fan. That makes me sad, but I haven't been following for a few weeks. I've just been very busy and, concentrating on fantasy football, to tell you the truth. But the Cardinals are a well put together team. You got trades, you got free agents, and you got really good farm system. And the Braves are the same way. They're not as good this year, but in some years you're not.
Yeah,
But Cardinals, solid team. Bob Gibson, one of the best pitchers ever, no
right.
question. I think when I was a little boy, he was still pitching. He was a monster. He was great. My
Legend.
team of the week, Yard Goats.
Good
They're
pick.
in the playoffs next week. First time in their 6-year history. So how about that?
That's big news.
Yeah. Yeah. There was also an editorial. It wasn't great about the Yard Goats. It was talking about how the city has to pay $3.5 million every year for the next 20 years to pay for the stadium. But you know what? I was at the last game on September 8th, and I'll tell you something, man. You bring people downtown, and I understand it's not making money for the city, maybe. Hopefully someday it does. But I think at least folks are revisiting and getting a little more comfortable with going into Hartford. I live in the burbs, and a lot of folks say bad things about Hartford. And look, there are some bad things about Hartford, unfortunately. But there's a lot of good things about Hartford. And, I've been a reporter in the city for over 2 decades. And I generally do not feel like I'm endangered. That's what people are always worried about from the suburbs, as you're probably aware. And, it's always been a great experience. The Hartford Police Department does a great job with the Yard Goats games and, keeping the streets moving and keeping you feeling safe and keeping the traffic going.
Yeah.
So, hopefully things continue positive for the Yard Goats, win or lose in this playoff game.
Right.
Rome, that was the fun stuff. I got to do the news now.
News time.
Don't get me wrong. I've been doing news for a long time. I love it, but you get me going with all the sugar, man, all the fun stuff. But we got news. We could start with sports.
Okay.
Do this thing about gambling.
Gambling. It's a dangerous thing.
Yeah. So NBC Connecticut, we've got the NBC data unit out in Iowa, believe it or not. And they sent us this report a few weeks ago. They said, we got this exclusive report. None of the other stations will have it. It's all talking about online sports gambling. And actually, it's not online. It's the legalization of sports gambling. And that was legalized back in 2021. So the question is, how much of an impact is it having on us? And they did find out some things. These are 3 California university researchers. They were, looking at the ease of access to sports gambling and is it harming the financial health of consumers? And they said yes. It was actually introduced back in 2018 when the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, said legalized sports gambling is okay. Connecticut, it wasn't until about 2-3 years ago where we got it here. And the data showed that participants in legalized sports gambling were more likely to file for bankruptcy, had higher amounts of outstanding debt, and researchers call this statistically significant. One of the other interesting things from the finding, and you can see a lot more about this on NBCConnecticut.com. We have the full story up there. Just got to watch it. It's one of the data checks NBC Connecticut Investigates does. And the crazy thing, Rome, was what would you say if you had to pick the demographic group, like male, female, and age, do you think were the most problem gamblers for online or legalized sports betting, not just online, but legalized sports betting?
That's a tough one. I think it's becoming more of a problem now, maybe, because I see lots of people doing it.
It's guys and it's young guys.
Yeah.
Really young guys. That's who's doing it. So you're a young guy, but I know you're not doing that stuff, at least not too much. But if you got any friends, keep an eye out. Make sure they don't get too crazy with that. So we got another interesting story here. My buddy Mike Savino with NBC Connecticut. He's the political reporter. He did this story, I think, early this week or late last week. It is election season, but we're not going to get political here. But one of the big things is many people of color don't get tapped to go on local boards and commissions. So the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities has done this really cool thing. They got something called Representation Matters, and it's a program that recruits people of color to run for office, and then it trains them how to actually campaign. The program stresses people of color can have an impact at any level. You don't have to be a mayor. You don't have to be on the council. You don't have to run for Congress. You can be on the Parks and Rec Commission, and you work your way up. Nice. So that was a cool thing that Mike Savino did last week, and folks should just be aware of it. It's a neat program called Representation Matters. As we are in this election season, I think that's a story I can do. I'm not going to get anybody angry. I think I would get them at least heartened that we're trying here in Connecticut to make things better. Crazy story here. And now I know you're Mr. Coffee because, the Busy Bean and all that stuff. Yeah. You know about these Keurig things, right? Those machines where you take the little pod and you put it in there and you get the do you like those?
I do.
Me too. I've got one up in my office that Mrs. Besthoff just got me. So if I want a cup, sometimes I get up really early, but if I go downstairs, I wake the dogs up and then it's crazy. So I do the Keurig, or I'm going to use this Keurig where I'm going to just make it upstairs. I'll have my cup and I'll come down at 7:15, 7:30, play with the dogs. But everybody gets to sleep until then. Except
nice.
But anyway,
I got to get one in my office.
But check this. Well, she got it on Buy Nothing, so don't get the wrong idea. So it's just a little single one. She got it on Buy Nothing for me. It's all nice and clean. It's not nasty. And then she got me some Cafe Bustelo. Remember we talked about this? I like it hot. I like it black. That's it. Yep. So it's just the K-cup, put in thing, good to go, right? Wait to hear this story, Rome. The Securities and Exchange Commission has charged Keurig Dr. Pepper, that's the name of the parent company, over claims about the recyclability of those little K-cups. This has been the thing that always sort of bothered me about getting one because, you're putting these little plastic cups into the waste stream. The agency said that the beverage company failed to disclose that two of the biggest U.S. recyclers said they wouldn't accept these pods for recycling.
Oh, wow.
That's a small problem. So there is a solution, though. So with the K-cups, you can actually, you can get it on Amazon, all kinds of places. I think I'm going to do this. You can get a little metallic K-cup that's yours, and you just put your coffee in it, and then you can recycle it. So you save money on the coffee, and you help the environment. Problem solved.
Quite a story.
Quite a story. And Keurig had to pay $1.5 million because they lied by omission to the SEC. I guess that was how the SEC might categorize that. When you fail to disclose two of the biggest U.S. recyclers aren't accepting your pods. My goodness, Rome. All right, we got fun with the last story. We're back to sports. Man, this feels like the Len and Rome or the Rome and Len sportscast here.
All right.
This is a good story, though. You've heard all about the signs on the highway that we're the basketball capital, and we are. I don't care what anybody says. And to prove it, the men's basketball, they were down at the White House.
UConn, right?
Biden. What's that?
UConn?
Yeah. UConn men's basketball. They were honored, and it's the second year in a row that they got this. And they've actually been there now to the White House 6 times because we have 6 titles in Connecticut. And here's the quote from President Biden. Not political. Now there's no doubt about who are the blue bloods of basketball. And that's how I end things.
Nice. That's big things right there.
Yeah. It's just feeling good. Feeling good. All right, my friend. Well, I'm going to go back to the Cruise for News situation here. We got a lot of stories we're working on. Probably have one for you later this month. about pedestrian deaths on our roadways. It's getting pretty serious. So
Yeah,
that's
that'll be a
coming
good
up in
time.
about a week.
Okay.
All right.
All
Got
right.
some other stuff too. Good stuff out of the Investigates and NBC Connecticut Response Department. So check it out. And of course, you can still see our documentary, Traces of Doubt, the forensics of Dr. Henry Lee. That's on our website and it's on YouTube. I know you're going to check it out, Rome. So have a great day. And we'll
You
see you
too.
soon.
Thank you. See you next week.
All right. Be well, my friend.
All right. You too.
See you.
Thank you.